When I won in 2008, 47% of the American people voted for John McCain. They didn't vote for me. And what I said on election night was, even though you didn't vote for me, I hear your voices, and I'm going to work as hard as I can to be your president. My expectation is that if you want to be president, you got to work for everybody, not just for some. And
that was President Obama last night, really seizing on. I saw it was a fastball over the middle of the plate that Mitt Romney kind of threw to him, so he was, hitting it out of the park there. But you know what, Neil, we're back with you now. Let's talk about getting past the easy sound bites for President Obama. What is the fallout for Mitt Romney here? Do we have any sense yet whether he could, this is going to hit him very hard, or whether he can turn it to his advantage?
I don't see him turning it to his advantage. I mean, I do think that this is something that has reverberated across the country in ways that are very hard to calculate, but that are pretty big. I mean, it's the kind of thing that in airport bars, people sit around and watch it on CNN. People are seeing it on Twitter, on Tumblr, on Facebook. It was viral and everywhere for the last 2 days. And the worst thing about, and this I wouldn't call a gaffe, but stumbles like this that reassert or sort of underscore a sentiment that people already have about a person that is a liability are the worst kind of all. And this is that sort of thing. And, Obama touched on something that Peggy Noonan also hit on very hard in a blog item that she wrote last night that got huge traffic on WSJ.com, which is just, people running for president, leaders of the country, don't look at the country this way. They want to be inclusive. They want to go for the big win, the 65% win. They want to be, they're kind of all-embracing Reagan-style leader. They don't splice and dice the electorate in the way that Romney was doing in those remarks at that fundraising event. And so that, I think, is what's really unsettled a lot of people, particularly, and also a lot of people on the right, including Peggy Noonan.
And that's a great point, Neil. I want to throw something back. We had a fantastic leader in the paper last year that basically talked to a whole bunch of folks that are on the dole, really don't like the idea of the dole, don't want to be on it, and want those kinds of benefits to go away. What was interesting about that story really was the cognitive dissonance among some of those voters. They don't think of themselves as being on government assistance when that's really a huge part of their income. I bring it up because the real damage here, right, Neil, is that he's defined the electorate so kind of specifically. He's leaving out a lot of those voters that maybe aren't making money but might naturally support him.
Well, absolutely. I mean, what this all goes to is the narrative that's very alive on the conservative right, which is that essentially half the country makes and the other half takes, and this half that takes is growing, etc. But it's a profound simplification of what's actually going on. I mean, you can say, yes, about 48, 49% of households in some way are involved in money coming to them from the government, but that includes Social Security, that includes Medicare, veterans benefits, et cetera. It's a whole list. And if you just look at it politically, you're talking about, the only age demographic, for instance, in the poll that we just did, that Romney wins by a large number and all the others he loses by a large margin, is among seniors. And seniors, of course, are among the most dependent on something coming to them from government, which is a Social Security check. So it's a difficult proposition if you're Mitt Romney to be looking at it that way. And it's just hyper sort of simplification about where the electorate is. I mean, he was making the comment that there are 47% of people who don't pay taxes, and lo and behold, amazingly, all of them are Obama supporters, and that's, of course, just not the way it works.
And Neil, he really tried to own the comments in an interview yesterday on Fox. You've really said that there's no way really to spin this to his advantage. What did you make of his comments to Neil Cavuto yesterday?
Well, I mean, there's an interesting debate underneath all this, and I think a lot of people understand it from both sides of the spectrum, which is, yeah, we would be wise if we were go down the road of tax reform, reducing or eliminating certain tax deductions, widening the tax base, et cetera. More people would contribute, et cetera. So you can have that debate. But what he was basically, and that's sort of the one that he was arguing, and he's under a lot of pressure from people like Rush Limbaugh not to back off the statements that he made at that fundraiser. But on the other hand, he was basically saying in that fundraiser that these 47% of the people are ones that are beyond his reach, are helpless and hopeless anyway, and he should just forget about them and try to get 50.1% and win the campaign, win the election. And that is also just slippery territory to be on.
Neil, thank you so much for joining us from Washington this morning. You've had some great coverage. Viewers at home, be sure to follow Neil on Twitter. He convinced me to do it. It was a good move last night.